Today, I'm going to teach you how to build transitions into your songs. Now, this pertains to metal guitar players and specific to the metal rhythm parts of your song. Learning this concept that I'm about to share with you, it's going to take your song from sounding pretty good to like, wow, I can't believe I just heard that. That sounds freaking awesome. Now, what do I mean by transition? So let's say you have a chorus to your song, okay? And I'm gonna share some examples for you to hear in a second here. But let's say you have your chorus, and then the next part of your song, let's call it a bridge, goes to something with a different progression, maybe a different key, but it's completely different, has a different vibe and everything. So you hear it going from chorus to bridge, and it's like, okay, that sounds okay, but something's missing. So what we're talking about doing is building a transition piece to go between those two, kind of like bridging the gap here, so to speak. Now, this is kind of a two-part tip here because I'm going to show you how to add the transition, but there's another piece that you're going to learn, and that is kind of a recording tip here is when you've already recorded your song, but then you want to go back and make changes and add that extra time to be able to add that transition in. If that sounds complicated, don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly how I did this. Here's what the song sounds like without the transition. It's just going from the chorus to the bridge. That was kind of abrupt. It was like, okay, you know, it's just like, boom, here we are, someplace new. And sometimes that works, sometimes that's cool, but in this particular case, it's like, okay, something's missing, something just wasn't quite right. So here's what the song sounds like with that transition. Much smoother, okay? So now you can kind of feel that change coming. It's like, okay, this part of the song's over, but now we've got this really cool thing going on, which is the riff that we put in there, the transition, and it almost like really just captivates you, and it's like, you know, gives you that anticipation and almost a little anxiety of what's to come next. You're like, oh my God, something else is around the corner. So let's jump into the studio. I want to show you guys exactly what I did. All right, guys, so we're in the studio. I'm gonna let you listen to this little transition piece here. Well, this is without the transition. I'm gonna let you listen to it again in the studio here. Okay, so right when I pointed, that's where I want my transition piece to be. So what I want to do is I want to insert some time into this track. You know, the track's already recorded, you know, the whole song here practically is recorded, but I want to insert some time for about 2 bars here. I'm not talking about the bar where you go drink, but hey, we'll do that later. So first things first, I've already got a rhythm part in mind that I want to play here in between those 2 pieces. And I'm going to play that for you real quick. Hopefully you can hear it okay. I'm just recording this with my little lapel mic here, so. Something like that, something real quick and simple like that. So I know I need about 2 bars here between. So where this part starts at, where the 2 parts come together, the chorus, so to speak, and go into this other bridge, which is a little bit different. It's in a different key, and that's why it doesn't sound quite right, going just right from one to the other. That's at number 53 here. See this little top part up here? You know, you got these, you can put your cursor up here to wherever you want it to make the change. So I want to insert some time from 53 to about 55. That will give me those 2 bars there to play that little riff that I just played. Now here's the thing, I'm using PreSonus Studio One, and I think all DAWs are relatively the same. In this case, I would go to Edit, and I would simply go to Insert Time. I'll click on that, and then again, I want my start at 53, my end, I want it to end at 55. So I'm going to insert some dead space here. Dead space, that'd be a cool metal band. So as you can see, it inserted the time there, and it pushed everything forward, right? So now I've got this here. Nothing. Okay, so I've got that time slot to play the riff. Now, here's what I like to do. I like to expand the drums so that I have some kind of beat in there and I'm not just playing to, nothing. Of course, you could turn on the click track and that would help you keep the time. In this case, I'm using EZdrummer. Now, a quick note on this. This is not the final drum track. This is probably not the final any of these tracks. I'm re-recording everything with a live amp later, but this is all just to get the song idea down. What I'm going to do here, though, I'm going to go into EZdrummer and I'm going to find us a loop, something that kind of works with that. And actually, since I've kind of already done this, kind of already went through this process, I think I have the loop that works here. And again, this is not really a loop. It's a loop, but it's a fill. It's not like a verse, a chorus, or whatever. If you use EZdrummer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So. Now, I like the last part of that for the transition piece. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag my loop, and I'm not really making this an EZdrummer tutorial. Again, I'm hiring a real drummer, Cameron Fleury, to record these tracks. So I drug the loop in here. As you can see, the loop kind of overlaps. So I'm just going to cut off that first part of that loop because, again, I only wanted the second part. So here's what it sounds like with my loop in there. Perfect. Okay, so I can record my little transition part along with that drum beat. That just makes the process so much easier. Now, real quick, you can see when I inserted time, and I meant to bring this up, you see that it cut off my lead track, this one right here, the little part of the lead track. Two things you can do. You can move it over, and I don't even think there's any sound there. It's just the delay carrying over from that last solo. You can drag it over. You don't have to do that though. You can just delete that altogether and just go back to where you were, the original piece, and just drag it out to where it was. So either way, and I wanted to share that with you because sometimes you might insert time and it cuts your tracks off. You're like, wait a minute, I screwed up, what happened? It's okay, it's fixable. It's an easy fix. All right, so let's record this guitar part, guys. This is the exciting part here. And hopefully I don't screw up too many times. Hopefully I can get this right the first time. Okay, I think we did okay. So I'm just going to fix my tracks here, about right there. Now, I'm going to record my second guitar track, my second rhythm track. Remember, I do 2 rhythm tracks. So what I want to do in this case, and I'm kind of expanding this little lesson here. I mean, you guys get the concept now. You insert the time, you put your transition riff in there, So what I do when I'm recording 2 guitar tracks, when I have a riff like this, when it's actually some movement on the fretboard, sometimes I'll harmonize with that. So I played first, it was this. So I think my harmony would be something like this. Something like that. Let's see if I can record this and nail it. I think I may have nailed it. And again, I don't know how well you guys can hear that little piece. I'll play the final mix. Well, actually, you heard the final mix of that already earlier, but I'll play it for you again. The last thing I need is the bass guitar track. So, hey, while we're doing this, I'm just gonna lay that down real quick for you. The bass part on this is fairly easy anyway, so that makes it easier. All right, let's plug it in. Got the good old LTD D5 bass. All right, here we go. Just lay it down. I think we may have nailed it. Again, I'm going back and re-recording everything later because I'm going to be using live amps, especially for the guitar parts. I'm going to let you hear the full mix, okay? I'm going to do that for you right now. So the song is called Story of You, and actually it's a song that I'm writing for my new album that I'm working on, and that's going to be released probably in October 2020. Now that I put that out there, I better stick to that date. But I was in the studio this morning, and I was making some changes based on what I had heard earlier. I had dumped the song down to MP3, and I was listening to it in the gym, and when it got to that part that we changed, added the transition to, when it got to that part, I'm thinking, wait a minute, something's not quite right here. And I kept going back and listening to it over and over. I'm like, no, we've got to add that little transition in the in between those two parts so that the song flows more smoothly. So when I got in the studio this morning and started working, I'm like, okay, well, here it is. And actually, I redid the whole process just for you guys on this video. I made the change earlier today, and then I thought, this would be a really good YouTube video to put out there for my guitar players. And so I actually reversed all the changes that I made and just redid the whole thing again just for this video here. So hopefully you guys appreciate that, and I hope that you got something out of this video. But yeah, leave me any questions that you might have about the transitions, putting those into your songs, because these little transitions can go between just about anything. It could be from verse to chorus, or chorus to bridge, kind of like what we did here, or like maybe you have a solo part coming up, you've got your main guitar solo coming up, and it might be just completely different, so you want to transition to build to that. And the thing about transitions, you can't quite call them a bridge because they're short. Usually these are really tiny pieces, that just fit right there between two pieces of music when there's going to be a change. Now, here's the other thing you can do, and I didn't share this earlier. If you don't want to build an actual transition, if you don't want to actually like cut into your music and move everything over to fit that transition there, you can actually leave it as is and maybe just play a little bit different riff at the end of that piece of music before it changes. Okay, so let's say it's the chorus and you don't want to build that transition. So chorus goes to bridge, the bridge is changing. So maybe that last part of that chorus, you change up the riff a little bit so that it kind of builds and tells that story that, hey, something else is coming here. So it's just a little bit different to kind of get the listener like prepared for that, if that makes sense. And so the song just flows more smoothly. So I hope that made sense. I tried to explain that the best I can. Again, if you guys have any questions, please leave those in the comments below. Don't forget, if you don't have my free 10 metal riffs and licks guide, it's a free practice guide I'm giving away. The link to that is in the YouTube description of this video. So definitely grab your copy of that. And guys, thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for watching the video. Please give this video a thumbs up. That really helps my channel here, and I appreciate that. Until the next video, guys, as always, keep it metal.